What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to give you guys a quick update on what's going on with the overall market. I also want to give you guys a warning about tomorrow, as we have important data coming out before the market opens that could affect how we end up opening. So I want to give you guys a warning about that and break down Tesla, SPY, and the others. But let me first mention that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull and deposit $500, you are guaranteed 20 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just about 4 days from now. Anyways, now let's break down what's going on with the markets. Looking at Tesla, this is actually a big one to be watching right now. Tesla is on fire right now. It's up almost 5%. We have a very, very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure on the 4-hour time frame. When you zoom out, it's been developing for the last couple of months. And institutions who dumped Tesla all the way down to the 140s just about a month and a half ago, now they're the ones who are buying Tesla up. So they were buying Tesla from the entire time, and they're getting ready to launch this thing right back up as we're approaching deliveries. And it's looking pretty good. I also want to notice that we have a nice double bottom leg structure for the right shoulder, and we're breaking structure right here. We broke the structure at this resistance at 188, and that's why Tesla's pushing up even higher. So when it comes to our levels, Tesla is breaking through 196, breaking that opens the doors. So 196.5, excuse me. If we close above this and hold this, I could be looking for a test of 199 to 200 very soon over the next couple of days, right before deliveries. Deliveries should be coming up, I believe, on July 2nd. That's going to be on Tuesday, a couple of days after the end of Q2. So once again, it's looking bullish. 199 to 200 is a potential target. If we were to lose 196, I'll be looking at 194 to 195, 191.69, then 188 below that. But overall, it's looking more bullish. I just want to give this a big shout out. Anyways, how about the overall market? What's going on with tomorrow? Tomorrow being Thursday, June 27th. Please note that 1 hour before the market ends up opening, we have the GDP price index report quarter over quarter, the GDP growth rate coming out, not to mention very important data for wholesale inventories and initial jobless claims. So we have some jobs numbers and GDP numbers coming out tomorrow, which could affect the overall economy. It's going to affect the Fed's policies and the stock market. I can't predict exactly what it's going to look like, so there's going to be a big move, and this data is going to be somewhat significant, so it will cause some volatility. We'll see if this causes the market to gap down and drop or gap down and pump. We'll just wait and see, or if the exact opposite happens, we'll wait and see. Then also for Friday, don't forget we also have PCE data coming out, and then the Michigan data. PCE is going to be very important too, so we'll see what that leads to. But anyways, I just want to give you guys a warning about that. So if you're holding anything overnight, you have to be a little bit more careful. The reason why you want to be careful about this is because we don't know what's going to happen with the GDP numbers. So I don't know if it's going to affect the markets in a positive or negative way. So the best thing I'm going to do is just kind of step back a bit, kind of reduce positions. At least I'm not giving financial advice. It's just what I'm personally doing, just to kind of manage risks a little bit better and to be a little bit more careful. And also, if you're interested in hedging, you could look at different ETFs, but I'm not going to focus as much on that. For now, I just want to call out that the 4-hour of SPY has a head and shoulders. Okay, sometimes these are traps. If it's a trap, we want to see SPY break past 547. If we break that, we could start pushing higher, and this could very much just be a trap. If it's not a trap and this is going to play out, you want to see SPY lose 543. If we lose that, we'll be dipping all the way down to 541, and if that fails us, we have a gap to fill all the way down to about 537. So there's going to be a risk of us potentially dropping even lower. Just want to give you guys some insights about that, and just be very, very wary of the fact that downside is still a big possibility, at least in the markets, and we're not necessarily ready yet. For right now, SPY is just shuffling between 543 and 545. That's why we're in 544. We're just going back and forth and back and forth. So we're just waiting. But I'm going to be very patient and see, does the head and shoulders play out? This does give the bears a bit of an edge, just somewhat. For Nvda, I said yesterday it's going to go up to 130, and that's what happened. We hit 130, then we got a big rejection. And I did mention it. It's either going to reject off 130 or break through it to turn bullish. We ended up rejecting off it, so now we're coming back down. And we've been shuffling around 124 this whole time. If we're bullish, you want to see it break past 126. If that breaks, 130 is coming. Then we're going to push even higher towards 132 plus. If we're bearish, you want to see it reject here and start dipping back down towards 122. If that fails, we're going to be dipping all the way down to the balance at 120, then 117. Overall, Nvda is looking so right now, kind of in the middle. It's just very indecisive. So we're going to give this a little bit more time just to figure out which way it wants to go. So we'll see how it reacts to data. It's just kind of shuffling. Bitcoin is rejecting off the 20 EMA, kind of rejecting here. So I'm going to be looking at this imbalance at 60,200. I'm going to likely end up testing that too, in my personal opinion. For The QQQ, we have a potential inverse cup and handle that could be forming, but there's no confirmation of this breaking out in any way. If we end up losing, 479 will be dipping all the way down towards, I would say, around 477, then eventually 475. And if we end up bouncing off this, I'll be looking at 482 and then 484 as resistance levels. Overall, there is an inverse cup and handle, so there's a risk of it dipping lower. But I'm not going to make any promises. Let's just wait and see just for confirmation and just to be safe. Aapl is just trading kind of sideways in this range. We have resistance currently at this 215 area. And also we have support that's building around 212.5, not to mention 210. We've been stuck within this range going back and forth and back and forth, building some strength. I am seeing some strength in Aapl trying to reverse here. So it's showing some nice momentum. It has more potential than other stocks out there, and it's building momentum. Looking pretty good, but just to be safe, I'm going to be patient with the data coming out for tomorrow. But Apple's looking pretty good. Super micro not looking that great. We have a head and shoulders like structure. We have a left shoulder here, a head and then a right shoulder. If we lose supports at 8, this is like 8 to 10 area, I think we're easily coming down to not only 800 but also the 780s. So I'll be watching for that. And if we end up breaking past 830, I'll be looking at 844 as resistance. So I'll be watching this very carefully. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have kind of like a head and shoulders like structure, also showing some weakness compared to the overall market. I did mention yesterday it's going to likely just shuffle, and that's what we've been seeing. So I'll be looking at 199. If we lose this, I'll be looking at 198. Then eventually some balance fill around the 197s. And then we have resistance currently at 200, and then 202 would be our next target above that. I think it's going to shuffle, and there is a risk of downside looking at the structure. So just be careful. We could be dipping back down to 198. For AMD, we're looking a little bit more bearish to me. We had this structure that was developing, but it's still on a bit of a downtrend right here. Could we rebound and retest the high, then continue to drop? It's possible, but there's no sign of a bounce yet, so it might continue to downtrend all the way down to this imbalance. So 155 is likely coming, and we'll see how it reacts to the trend line. It still has a little bit more downwards pressure, so I see a little bit of a dip coming. Coinbase failed to fill the gap. I said if we broke past 223, we'll fill the gap to 225. If we fail to do so, we'd reject. Lo and behold, we're rejecting, and we're going to likely come all the way down to about 207. So I'm seeing weakness on Coinbase as Bitcoin is dipping. Amazon, on the other hand, is looking kind of strong. We had a nice cup and handle like structure. I'll be looking at 195 as a potential target. If that breaks, I'll be looking at 196.5. If you reject off 195, which 193 is key support. If we lose this, we'll be dipping down to about 191, which is where we had previous resistance. I'll be watching those levels, but it looks bullish overall for 195. Meta is just shuffling between 514 and about 510. So I think we're going to likely just continue to shuffle in this range for some time. If we lose 510, we could be dipping back down lower towards like 507, but I'm not really favoring that. I think it's holding up very well. So I think it might just shuffle in the range I called out. Microsoft is also kind of dipping a bit. It hit 453, kind of rejected a bit. Could go a little bit lower to 450, then we could bounce off that. So I find that to be the most likely possibility. Google is just shuffling at 185. It's going to likely continue to do so. But when stocks hit these new highs and they start to shuffle, generally they start to dip a bit. So there could be a risk of some downside. We will see depending on the news. So be very wary of that. Some sideways price action and maybe downside layer to 183, at least for Google. For GameStop, if we break past 25.76, we're going to be looking for a breakout. If we fail to do so, we'll be dipping and just continuing to consolidate. And for AMC, we're building some strength, but I want to see it break past 4.75 to turn more bullish. Otherwise, we're still stuck within the range. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one in just about a couple of hours. Until then, take care, guys, and peace out.